Flipper Floppers are kinda boring from a gameplay perspective. Their idea is good on paper, having players ink the turf below them for a kill. But in practice, the area that the Flipper Flopper paints isn't really that big. And if the player paints enough of it, then the entire thing switches to their color. It's just that it's hard to feel threatened when the only impact the Flipper Flopper makes on the wave is that I get 3 more golden eggs. Scrapper! Scrappers feel like what no boss Salmonid should. A super tough Lesser Salmonid. When the gimmick of an enemy is just that it has a shield, then forgive me when I say that it's not that interesting of a mechanic. The difficulty is supposed to be that it's the back of the Scrapper that's exposed, so that you yourself are exposed to Lesser Salmonids when you go behind them to take them out. But that's not really using the Scrapper's own strengths to its advantage, now is it? Stinger. Stingers are underrated. No, seriously. A lot of the flack they get is because they're good at splatting, but hard to take out themselves. And I must ask, did we fight the same boss Salmonid? Because the stingrays really aren't that hard to avoid if you know what you're doing. As for their defense, unless you're on a bad map, then it shouldn't be that hard to defeat them. Speaking of defeating them, they are the funnest boss Salmonids to defeat. Seeing all their pants get knocked out one by one just fills me with joy. Drizzler! With Drizzler, we are entering the territory of boss Salmonids that I find to be actually bad. Drizzler is the first of these guys to have limited vulnerability, meaning that they can only be attacked during certain periods, usually when they are attacking. Drizzler sticks out for the high HP that's combined with this. Steelhead, 300 HP. Flyfish doesn't really have HP, but they can be said to have around 360. Drizzler has 900. I don't even care about their attacks that much. Inkstorms can be annoying, sure, but in the end they're nothing that really disruptive. More! God, I love Moors. Those fleshy pink fish that burrow through the air. But attachment is not unfounded either. Moors pop out of the ground for a very short period, and they're only vulnerable during that period, and they have around 1200 HP. Along with that, they instantly splat you whenever you get hit by them. Sounds worse than Drizzler, even Steelhead, right? Well, here's the thing, you can instantly defeat Moors with a bomb. It gives you multiple ways to take them out. It's like actual game design. As for the murder problem, Moors are easy to dodge, but only if you know what you're doing. Where the Moor pops out will always be shown by a cyan circle that approximates the hitbox of its, well, Moor. Fish stick! Fish sticks really aren't that fun to play against. You have to go out of your way to defeat them, first by inking the pillar, and then when you're atop the pillar, you have to stand in place holding down the ZR button. And that's if you have a weapon that's got an easy rate of fire. If you have something, say like a charger or a roller, then it's even more finicky. And even when you've defeated them, you have to waste time tossing golden eggs down to the ground. And yes, you could just leave the fish sticks there, but if you do, you're gonna have to accept a fairly big sector of the map just not being goable anymore. I get that they're supposed to help you out with the giant pillar they leave behind, but newsflash, I don't really think about using pillars that often. Slamming lids! Slamming lids. Who doesn't love slamming lids? You don't love slamming lids, and you must be purged! Slamming lids have the best concept out of any boss Salmonid, being Salmonids riding giant putlets. Their supposed purpose is to be a force field for other Salmonids, but what's far more interesting is how they're taken out. If you ever go under a slamming lid, then they will try to crush you, which is a fascinating mechanic. Not only because it makes them practical to defeat, but because how it interacts with them being a force field. The slamming lids also crush any Salmonids that are under them. You may think this makes them easily exploitable, but really they aren't. There's the matter of you having to get up close and personal with a whole bunch of Salmonids, but also you can also get crushed a bit. That being said, it is super satisfying when you manage to take out another boss Salmonid with this. Steelhead! Steelheads are like the way I misrepresented Moors back during their segment. They do have a limited vulnerability, you know. They do have a one-hit KO move. It does cover a big area. Really, the only difference is that they have a quarter of the HP. But what makes up for that is the placement of the bomb itself. For some reason, the devils went, hey, you wanna know what's a good idea for this already hard to kill boss? Putting the hitbox of it out of the range for most weapons. This is ungame design. Steel Eel! Huh, both the quote-unquote steel boss Salmonids are back to back. Steelheads are quite simple, mechanically speaking. They work on snake logic, which means that the head does whatever it wants, while the rest of the body segments just trace its path and lock onto one player. But this simplicity is their great strength. Due to their length, they can be hard to go around, so what you need to do is trick them by climbing up a wall. Verticality is something that Splatoon has over most shooters, so having a boss that actually takes advantage of that is, as mentioned during more segments, game design. Flyfish. A common trend in boss Salmonids is appropriating multiplayer specials. Dinners based on Stingray, dinners based on Storm, and even the boss Salmonids that you know is at number 1 via process of elimination is based on Wavebreaker. Tenta missiles are easily the most hated special in the entire game. And this isn't a scenario where people don't like using them because they're underpowered. No, this is the other way around. Tenta missiles are what I call a YAND, or you are now dead weapon. As not only do they lock on the players, but they are one-hit KOs. Yeah, you could just swim away from them, but 99% of the time, there just isn't room for that. But at least the flyfish itself would be easy to take out, right? Wrong! Not only are they another one of the limited vulnerability bosses, but the only other boss Salmonid that they share their method of taking out with is the Moor. And unlike the Moor, they're in the air the entire time, which makes it harder to aim, and this is their only way of being taken out. And to put a cherry on top of this whole parfait, half of the missiles immediately target the player closest to it, which is going to be the player trying to take it out. This is ungame design. Who the hell made this? Big Shot! Big Shots are definitely the most layered out of all the Salmon Run bosses. There's the matter of their basic attack, a cannonball that makes 2 Wavebreaker shockwaves when it lands. It's a neat way of adding challenge to the wave, without being too intrusive, since really all you have to do is jump over the shockwaves. But we all know that's not the main purpose of a Big Shot. The main purpose is the cannon. Salmonids may betray their own kin, but Big Shots introduce what may as well be a whole new mechanic to the game. You can put golden eggs in the Big Shot's cannon, and it will shoot them out somewhere near the basket. Not only is this a godsend for maps like Marooners Bay, where somebody took maneuverability and killed it in its sleep, but it also has a good risk-reward factor in how the cannon spawns down by the shoreline, where all the Salmonids spawn. And to top it all off, Big Shot!